It is a beautiful day here at the Yas Marina Grand Prix in the fourth round of the Atomic World Challenge in Season 2. Today we have Sneaki on the pole. It seems to be his position in his lot in life, so he has had a wonderful day to go with the wonderful view we have. And Death Perception is in second. Jockeys is in third. Bryce Hall, who is another comeback for the group, and another person who has a lot to celebrate is FSX Patient. Although timing out in every other race that he's been in, has been able to been awarded points because he was able to finish those races and has put him in the number one position. Thanks to the issues that happened with that, also there was a rules change that allowed now that once you leave this room and you have the problems with your vehicle, that you are officially out of the race. So we'll see how that runs. Again, Agent Ranger in his triumphant return today is in the sixth position. Daddy Trump using his new 770 and RPM with his Feltzer. We're interested in seeing with the 1:36 par time that we have today, how many people go from their low runs to actually breaking that time, or breaking the time that they made in their qualifying runs. So it's going to be interesting. Bryce has already run into somebody. So we'll have everybody bunch back up here. This is where things get a little crazy as we begin to start the race. And there's the big takeoff. Sneaki is taking the big run off the lead here to try to position himself in a better place to keep his first place position. Again, today the event is Yas Marina, and it is run by Sneaki Gyraffe. It is officiated by the Most Wanted, and today, as always, your commentator is VIPPrimo. For those of you who are interested in playing with this, it's an open event. Welcome to anybody, and we'd love to have you come out and qualify for the race. The system that we have right now is based on qualifying par time, which means that racers who are usually much faster have to dial in their cars to meet a certain requirement on time. And once they are in that time requirement, that means that they can compete against anybody. The beauty of that is if you test a lot of the different races and test a lot of the different things, you have a great battle here between Bryce and Jux, that as those things come out, that even if you're a newer racer, it's usually best to have an upgraded car. But with those upgraded settings, you can still become a very good racer and have a very competitive car. So as we move back to the track here, again, we have exciting run with Bryce. These guys are battling it out. Difficult to see who's getting the better end. Bryce kind of tapping away at Jockeys' rear quarter there. Death Perception and Sneaki are keeping their first 2-1-2 punch. Another person that we missed tonight, if you guys are noticing, is Chewy. Chewy, who was our first sponsor in the Grotti Carbonizeri, has actually taken his place out of two other events and lost his sponsorship to Grotti, which Grotti was not happy about. But we also have a couple of guys on here that have continued to race and are going to be up for sponsorships, one being Patient Zero, and some of the other, so there's some other people as well that really play the role. Today's race earlier in the Pro Series was actually kind of a barn burner. It was really against it was B-Dogs, and there were some other racers in there, but unfortunately due to car troubles, they ended up being a 1-2 with B-Dogs being in first, and funny enough, me taking second. And the biggest problem was a DQ based on the idea that somebody was using dirt tires and they weren't aware of the changeover. So that's one thing that is very important if you do end up racing with it, is to leave your dirt tires at home and race your atomics. Bryce's vehicle is actually acceptable because even though he is using a lowrider style rim, he's using a black wall. So the black walls in any of the Atomic Series rims, because this is the Atomic World Series, is allowed in the race. And as you can see, everybody's rocking their Atomics. So Bryce is taking over from Jux, and Jux is really rubbing his way through here to try to pull that position back. Sneaki is falling back to the second position. Death Perception is up front, running away with things. And this battle in the back will really slow people down. Getting in with Sneaki here. Almost 3 wide as they come around this corner. Things are getting heated in this area. Who's that going to be behind this group? As we look behind Juxra here, we see Daddy Trump in his 770. There's another person, Daddy Trump, who's really looking for some sort of make it or break it moment. He switched back and forth between cars a couple of times and really tried to get something that's going to bring him some sort of, victory lap. There's RPM. So let's look at, we're gonna wait for them to come. They're just getting ready. Ooh, hard hit on the tree there. Comes around the corner and runs up on the center. As we cross the line here, let's start looking at their times to see what we get. 136s, 137s. Everybody's well within their area, right on that 136. And as like I said, it's all based on, being consistent with the time. And some of these racers have actually received handicaps for their driving over. If you guys have followed any of the other races that we've had, one of the big things that you see is a handicap system that's applied to people. So you'll see guys that normally are very fast or faster than in the track, but they've gotten anywhere from 2 to 3 second handicaps because of going over that par time, and those affect their points. So we see the standings here real quick. Death Perception with the solid 136. We see the fighting that Bryce Hall and Sneaki and Juxra got back and forth, and that's falling back to the 139. Daddy Trump with a little bit of open air. It's got a 137. RPM with his 137. FS Patience with a 137 as well. Patience has got quite the lead in points right now, and if he continues the way he's doing, he's going to be in a very comfortable position for running against things. There's RPM running up on the edge there. So, and we... Okay. We got RPM digging his way through the side here. He's got a hard car with that Felter. Look at that. Coming around the corner here. Juxra is losing some positions fast. So let's see where RPM is. I think RPM actually does already have a handicap. Does he get that pull forward? Oh! Getting a little loose in the corners here. Let's go over to RPM real quick. All right, here's Daddy Trump saying that if his thing is messed up, he's going to have some words with him. But as you can see, he's falling back a little bit off of the Power 3 here, if you will, the 770. Feltzer's an excellent vehicle, and so is the 770. And it's a very strong car for this race. Juxra really has, I mean, if you've followed any of the races, you've seen how well Juxra can make that Spectre Custom work. Oh! Big crash. There's Juxra going back, getting a drop off the edge. Not what he needed to have happen. That's gonna hurt him right there. Let's see where he ended up at. Back in 6th position. Daddy Trump's complaining a little bit here. He's trying to catch up to Sneaki, I believe. Yep. There's Bryce Hall's 136 right on the edge with the best lap. So there's the 770 pass. Daddy Trump is still complaining. He's like, he doesn't want anybody to mess up his race. And, it's pretty much a given that, we understand where you're coming from there, Trump. And we hope that that you have a good time not getting crashed. How's that? Whoa! And Daddy Trump just says, he goes, I'm getting a 136, so I'm slamming on the brakes as he comes around. So at the moment, nobody has broken par time, so that's good. You got some 136s, and we have Bryce Hall with the top with a 136.223. And if you're wondering, sometimes when we're doing communications, you'll hear some guys talking over the microphone, and they'll actually ask me questions like, and you hear Jugtree there going, "Can you hear me?" And we're like, "Yeah." And Daddy Trump is like, who's broken par? If I thought it was really close, because you could tell he slammed on the brakes as he came into it, and I do like to stop and give them some quick updates based on how they're running. So what do we got for position here? I'm on Daddy Trump. Bryce has got a bit. Let's go back up to Bryce real quick and see where he's at. Ooh, somebody's going down on Death Perception coming around the corner here. Very strong run on him. These guys both have if we look at the lap times there, we're off by thousandths of a second. The beauty of the way we do our qualifying right now, especially with part time, you will see easily the top 5 or 6 guys that are going to be in the same, within a second of where they're going to be at. It's just amazing how well they can keep competitive with these cars, and there's a lot of dialing in unless you're the kind of like I can pick a car and I can do a couple little mods to it. In other words, drop one thing like an engine or turbo and be able to hit that par time over and over again with the car. And it's funny because newer racers will come in and say, hey, we're just making par time, and they'll begin to move up their times, and it's crazy how consistent that par time is. In other words, the majority of racers, either, if you will, professionally or competitively, will all fall into a certain area of time. So with guys that are in the pro class, they can be around a little bit. Most of the times you'll have 1 or 2 numbers that are going to be rather consistent. While when you come over to the GT class, these guys, what's par time's going to be pretty much within the first couple of racers that come around that are consistent racers that race it, and you say, see, there was the slowdown right there to try to get his par time in. Still 136s, and we got Jugtree with 136C. But so where they're pushing, if they come up and get consistently on the edge of that par time run, it can be rather, Look at that. Oh, did he fall off? We're going to drop back to Death Perception real quick. Bryce just took the lead. I saw him come around the corner and tap some wall there. Still in second place, still with the best lap. Well, had the best lap. Took that back from Bryce, but some attrition in the background has done a number on some of these guys. Love the look of that Massacre, by the way, as well. One thing that we do here is kind of end up falling back on a car show. Let's do kind of like a car show display that we have in these races as well. So it's fun to check in and watch what's going on. Little battling going on there. Everybody's patient. So where is... Okay, so Patience in there, Jugtree, Sneaki. Daddy Trump and RPM, those guys are up there. Kind of makes you wonder how. There's a hot turn right there, and that's the other thing. So this, he missed he missed his turn. Impatience, complaining because he wanted to battle it out, and he's not going to get the chance. Man, that was not what he wanted to have happen. There's the group up there. So here's Patient coming hard around the corner here. Who was that up there? Where is Depth Perception? Still in second. There's Patient. This is the points leader right now. So follow him around the track in his orange Masakura race car. Trying to draw in Sneaki. I'm going to jump up to Sneaki because he seems to be in most of the heat that's going on here. Turned out to be a really exciting race today. We're going to move up to again because this is even a bigger competition. One race after the other. These guys are going to... This is going to end in some sort of destruction right there. Doing a little blocking. You hear RPM on his horn saying, "Get out of the way. I want my space." Good turn by RPM as he comes on the inside. Taking up space here. It's really about the balance of the curbing and... I told you. It's going to end bad. It's just going to be... It's going to be a scrape and run. Hey, just watching RPM and Daddy Trump right now is amazing. RPM wants that so bad. And RPM just says straight up, "You're too slow." He wants that position badly. Oh. And that's your big crash. I told you this was going to end badly when they come in. Yeah, and now the stack is all tightened up again. So let's drop back to RPM. He's got big complaints from Daddy Trump now. As things and notice, as they come back later and say, check the replay on this, you will hear there is no shock of what happened when you battle that way and come up and back and bump and rub. You're going to end up taking everybody out in the process. So that's kind of hurt RPM in the long run. And there's, Yep. RPM's getting a little gritty on his run. And the other thing, too, is it can get kind of annoying to get all that run and then get, you know what I mean? Just a good watching this right. Okay, he's making a move on Sneaki, coming to the inside here. Come on, Sneaki, let him go by. Don't be a victim. Oh! Gigantic crash, thud. That's not. Yeah, that's a move. When we were talking earlier about guys coming up and leading the laps and guys who run their stuff, wow, 136 is, like I said, this is if you want to be a competitive racer and you want to get into a pack of people that the only thing you need to do to win is be consistent and just make it to the end without crashing and not getting in trouble. Here's your group right here. Take it. And like I said, you got guys here that are pro level racers who are using handicapped vehicles so they can get into their par times to have this kind of competitive racing, and they are nailing it. Like, really coming out hard, bringing their A game, being competitive, and it's amazing. I like I said, I commend everybody that puts in the effort into this racing series to make it as competitive it is. Amazing group of guys. And the thing is like, when we used to run other racing series, you spend a lot of time telling people not to do stuff, or not to play a certain way, or not to be, whatever it takes to do what they do, and bumping and rubbing and scraping and tearing things apart. And then you look at this and you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is just... I think I've made one comment so far to the whole group to say, what's going on with this? So yeah, like I said, you just keep seeing this one group of people over and over again that's doing it. And it's clean racing. It's fun. You know what I mean? Let's see who we got here. I want to see. Let's see Patience. He's really making time, and he's building himself back up. Oh, look who he's got it. He's got Daddy Trump in his eyes. But this has kind of been an ongoing battle for those two. 136s across the board. 138 from Agent Ranger, 137 from Sneaki. That Death Perception. So far, the best lap we have is a 136.027 from Death Perception. From Death Perception. This is being the battle. So I'm just rolling off times for them too, so they can hear where they are. Patient running into Daddy Trump again. Can this be a clean race? Can it be clean? Okay, so we're gonna roll the field real quick here. Let's go from top to bottom. We haven't spent any time on Bryce today. And Bryce is one of our fan favorites, just because he can get around this track and keep it tight. And there he does, walking his way around the corner. So there's Bryce, and in the next position is Death Perception. He's not too far off. And nobody has broke par. So we're from Depth Perception. Jumping around here. Okay, let's Daddy Trump. It's funny, we were talking about people that were getting close to par but not going over par, and the thing that was coming to my mind was like, you can't get much closer without going over. There's Daddy Trump with Patient 0. Who's that behind him? So Patient, RPM, Sneaki. Let's jump that back to Sneaki real quick, see how far back he is. I think that's pretty much our field. Let me guess. Sneaki, accident. Yep. So that was that. Just as we come off the edge here, here's Juxury. I'm going to move right back up to RPM. And another big crash from Sneaki as he rams into the wall. I think Juxury had a little bit part playing into that impact. And this is what can happen when you're in a 30-minute race, is this starts to wear on you. And now's the point, one more lap left, that that thing, and hey, time flies when you're having fun. That stuff starts wearing on people. And he was saying RPM wiggles his way around. I'm so interested to see this. I think we're going to stick to this to the end. I think we know who's going to take the lead here. The 135. And RPM makes the breach of top lap with 135. So there's his one par break. We always get one in a race. I think he wants that finish line more than his par breach. I think he'll be in 2 seconds. Okay, so we're going into the last lap there. We're going to go right up to Death Perception. Oh, and as I skipped to the wrong person. Sorry for the flipping around a lot on this race. It's one of those things of where sometimes it can be very difficult to get the cameras where you want it to be, and I don't have the whole group listing in front of me to see how things are going to work out. But that was so far we got somebody finished. Here's this group. So like I said, this is what kind of happens is you end up and RPM off the edge. Look at that. Gigantic crash right at the end after breaking par. Wow. I think he's going to end up finishing the race underneath the track. Yep, RPM finishes as he comes around the corner. RPM skidding and, Agent crashes off the track. So I think this is pretty much how the race is going to finish. Yas Marina ended up being an exciting race today. Incredible all the way through for 30 minutes. Congratulations to Bryce Hall Death for the winning it, for RPM for getting the top lap, even though he gets his one little bump on the time. Look, he barely went over it. And to all those other guys out there, thank you guys for tuning in. And we are going to see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.